Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to the MaeMaeTown podcast. Today is a very special episode because I'm joined by Marcus Hedges of the Marcus Hedges Trend Orchestra. How are you doing, Marcus?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule to do this talking show with me.
Ah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
And speaking of talking, we were doing a little bit of chatting before the episode started, and Marcus was telling me about how, well, we were just kind of talking about like being on the internet in general, and how with streaming sometimes like I try not to let things get to me when there's like weird people in the chat making me feel bad, and then you were telling me how. Can you just tell the story? Because
Yeah, yeah. Well, we were just we were talking about how important it is to not engage with negativity. I think
mm-hmm.
the internet is this kind of thing where, unfortunately, a lot of the time people just don't think before they speak, or for whatever reason, like are feeling some kind of negative vibes. But yeah, I was sort of saying I learned that lesson early on with not engaging with those kind of people that write, comments. But the example I was giving was this was years ago, but I put out a Zelda cover, and this person had commented saying you're not allowed to do Zelda covers. It's against the law. And I commented back saying, "Oh, don't worry. It's all good. It's all above board. It's all officially licensed." And he said, "No, you can't." Rah, rah, rah. And I was like, "Whoa, this guy's
The law's coming.
yeah, exactly." And then he proceeded to go through every single one of my other Zelda videos and say the same thing. And then he sent me an email saying, "You're not allowed to do this. Blah blah. It's against the rules."
Oh my god.
And I was like, whoops, shouldn't have responded in the first place. And then I got an email a couple of days later from him saying, "Oh, by the way, just to let you know, I found out you are allowed to do it if you license it properly." So I was like, oh,
Wow, thank you.
like, yeah, thank you so much for that. And I kind of learned from then that it's like if I hadn't have engaged at all, none of that would have happened,
Right.
and why give them the airtime? I don't know if it's still the case, but I know you can shadow block. Well, you could shadow block on YouTube, so they
Hmm.
don't know that they've been blocked.
Blocked.
So
Yeah.
he was like tippy tappy typing away, and nobody could see it. So
Hey, as long as, just let him live in his own
yeah,
world, and
you do your thing, man.
sometimes ignorance is bliss, especially
Yeah.
online. I've found
Mm.
I had a similar, which by the way, Marcus is a very talented composer.
Oh,
He's
thanks.
a video game composer, a very talented musician, and he has a ton of amazing Zelda orchestrated albums, which is how I found you. I think the first thing I heard from you was your Wind Waker album. I think specifically the Great Sea, which
Hmm.
is unbelievable.
Oh,
I it had been a long time since I had heard that track like from the game. And so I
hmm.
recognized it, but as it played, I was like, wait a minute, I've never heard anything like this before. This is like, I've never heard Nintendo do anything like this before with Zelda music. And you know how good Zelda music is. But like,
Mm.
what you do with these tracks and these arrangements is like, you really make it your own and you make it so unique.
Mm.
And so when I first heard that, I was like, who is this person? And so I went and listened to the whole album, and it was just so cinematic and such an experience. Like all your albums feel like experiences. And you also compose for other games as well, or you do trailers for games like Destiny 2 and
Hmm.
Jurassic World. And I saw that you are scoring for a Korean animated film, a Jeju story, which is
Yeah,
also,
yeah,
the trailer is so
yeah.
amazing. How did you get connected with that project?
Funny story actually, and a really like good example of making connections, to make your way in the industry, and like genuine connections.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, this is years ago. I can't remember what sort of time this would have been, but it was really late in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just falling asleep actually, and I was looking at my phone, and I saw this animation. It was like a real short clip of Goku from Dragon Ball,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody had animated it. And I was like, this is sick. This is like, I was so used to seeing Dragon Ball in 2D, and
Yeah.
I was like, who's doing this? And I ended up emailing this guy, um, and saying like I'm a composer.
Mm-hmm.
By that point, I was relatively like fresh, I guess. And then I said like, look, I do these arrangements and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd really love to write some music for your thing. And he's like, yeah, sure. Like we're actually trying to put together a little short film,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of like expanded then, and there it was like a team of Dragon Ball fans, and but we were like from all different places, so kind of like worldwide. But we had like animators from like Disney and DreamWorks and stuff, and we were all working together to do this Dragon Ball Z tribute
Mm-hmm.
short film. And one of the guys that was working on there works for Disney.
Mm.
His name is Nara Yoon, and um, we ended up like after that project had finished, like sort of hitting it off and stayed in contact, and we've worked together on a few different things now. I ended up working with him on some stuff for Samsung Robotics. I ended up
Mm.
doing some conceptual stuff for their robot
Mm-hmm.
personality. And then yeah, he reached out to me for this film, similar sort of scenario where like it's handpicked. He kind of handpicked a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
different animators and texture artists and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sort of ended up taking care of the music side of things, which I feel super lucky to be doing. Like the quality of work that those guys have put together is just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I mean, yeah, when I saw
Um,
the trailer, the animation style, of course, I immediately thought like this is very Disney. Like it feels like Disney made it, which makes sense now that you say that one of the
right.
animators is, from Disney. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the track that was in the trailer, and you're still in the process of scoring it.
Yeah, so we're kind of moving on to the next phase of things now, because we are moving into the full shebang. So we worked for 2 years to get that trailer to the
Mm.
point that it was at. And then it was a case of securing funding to do the full lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that is, I think, happening.
Yeah.
It's not. It's too early for me to be writing any music yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, like one of the interesting things was seeing, because I'm not normally involved in the process so early on, but obviously because he kind of built the team, it's like, oh, Marcus, I want you to do music.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see this trailer go from like sketches all the way through to that end result that you saw,
Yeah.
you know. And so I was writing music when it was kind of like it was a bit like robotic,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was all black and white, and no,
Yeah.
it didn't, nobody really had any faces. And then like every time I saw it, it would just get more and more insane. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how are you guys doing this? And then the end product was nuts. And yeah, so think we're moving towards making the full thing now, and that'll be a while in the making, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah, something like that I imagine can take a lot of time to
Mm.
execute, but what's out there currently, the trailer, I mean, it's like it's so
It's a
amazing.
great proof of concept at the
Oh
very least, you know.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, no, it's cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah, and like the story itself is, if you watch the trailer, it starts out, it feels like a very like bright and happy like Disney movie, but then you realize it's actually about something that's quite tragic, from the
Mm,
war. Do you want to go
mm.
into the story a little bit?
Um, yeah, I can. I don't want to like get it. Don't want to misquote any of it. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I probably should have prepared you.
but no, I mean, what's I think important about the project itself is that, clearly it's like an important story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Soyun, the sort of co-director, um, and the one who kind of, I guess, got in contact with Nara to make the film in the first
Mm-hmm.
place. That's what it's to do with her family. Like she lost some family,
Oh yeah.
um, in the kind of atrocities that happen. So, yeah, it's a kind of like it's a very symbolic approach to
Mm-hmm.
the film. Like kind of the trailer lulls you into this false sense of security,
Yeah.
and then um, yeah, it moves through into a slightly darker, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, this is what it's really about. And there's this juxtaposition between she's kind of young and at the start, and it's all running through flowers, and she's all really happy and stuff, and then she, kind of jumps through time, and she's a bit older, and she's realizing like what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's 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 an honor to be able to try and put music to that and help kind of tell the story through music. But yeah, I'm excited to be part of it
Yeah, I'm
for sure.
excited to see the final result because like Jeju Island, if people aren't familiar with Jeju, it's like the best like vacation spot at least in Korea. Like it is this beautiful island, and
Mm,
so that juxtaposition as well, like it works,
for
for the
sure.
animation too.
Yeah, like
Um,
if anybody wants to read up on it, it's the website is a Jeju story. So
mhm.
just all one word, a Jeju story, Jeju story.com.
Yeah.
And there's lots of information about who worked on it, what the information about, the actual story itself,
Hmm.
and what it's about and what it represents, and kind of what everybody's um I guess also everybody's like the sketches, the key art, like all that stuff's on there. It's all really
Yeah.
interesting.
And are you guys still doing fundraising at the moment?
I think that's finished now. I don't know if they're still doing it. I think it's finished. So as far as it stands, funding is closed, I think.
Awesome. That's so
The last thing I
exciting.
saw.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
no,
so
it's cool.
great.
It's positive stuff, I believe. I've been told anyway.
They've told me it.
They told me all very positive, so
Yeah, I'll just wait till my turn.
Mm, fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely gonna work out, and it's gonna be
Mm,
so amazing.
mm.
I wanted to give a quick shout out to people in the Twitch chat right now. If you guys have any questions for Marcus at any point during the episode, um, put them in there, and we will get to them if we can. We're pressed for time, but
No, you're all good. All good.
we will. But Neo asked a question, and this is a very just general question. But he wants to know what your favorite Zelda game is, whether musically or gameplay or both. And I want to know as well.
Yeah, I mean it's an easy one for me, uh, because Ocarina of Time was like it's like my most nostalgic,
Mm-hmm.
It like it's the one that like I have the fondest memories of. It was my introduction to all the music, really. So yeah, and that game has such, with the Ocarina itself
Mm-hmm.
being a key part of the gameplay. Like I learned all
Yeah.
these songs on Ocarina and within the game, and that it all stuck with me. So yeah, for sure, it's an easy one. Like Ocarina of Time's my
Mm-hmm.
my favorite. Close second though is Breath of the Wild. I think just because it feels like a reincarnation of Ocarina of Time. Like if Ocarina of Time was today, I
Yeah.
feel like it would look something like that.
Yeah. Well, Ocarina, I think is kind of like the foundation musically for Zelda,
Mm,
at least from my point of view. Like I know
mm,
there's tracks before it in other games, but like just as a full kind of like soundtrack, just the way they kind of flesh it out, it feels like, oh, this is like the like foundation for the score, that we
mm.
hear throughout the rest of Zelda history up until Tears of the Kingdom, which is, I think Tears of the Kingdom is like the most unique music that Zelda has ever made.
Yeah.
I think it might be my favorite at this point.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, I just
Really?
musically it is so insane.
Mm.
Like just the trailer
The
song
trailer,
is
the
so
trailer was
insane.
was so good. The
Yeah.
trailer was so good. Yeah, I was like, Yeah, I was so excited about the music in that, I did a little like transcription thing. So I was like, I have to know what's going on here, like what are they doing?
Yeah,
Um,
it's so just like um the my favorite part about the Tears of the Kingdom music is that like I don't even know what you would describe this as, but it's like that vocal like I don't know how you describe it,
oh, I know
but
what you're talking about. Yeah, it is like a little vocal thing, a little
kind
vocal.
of. It could be an instrument, I'm not sure, but like that is like my new favorite thing.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that's
so
it's like if you can put like characteristics like that into your soundtrack, that's like it's for that reason that you're going, oh, I really love that little extra ingredient that's giving it identity. I think it's
yeah.
an important thing to do. If you can pull it off, it's
Yeah.
definitely it's definitely like a balance between having this cool thing that appears sometimes and not just banging people over the head with it, because you really
Exactly.
want them to know it's in there. So yeah, no, it is a good soundtrack. I have to confess, I haven't played loads of Tears of the Kingdom. I played a good chunk of it. Um, I got distracted. I forget why now. Um, but yeah, I got distracted probably by another game.
Yeah,
Maybe Baldur's Gate. I'm like,
that's true.
that game just is not. It's just that it doesn't end. It's crazy. I promise. I try and promise myself like, oh, like I'll finish one game and start another. Whenever I start another, you know, it's crazy. Yeah. So I'm like 70 hours into this Baldur's Gate game, and it's just no end in sight.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, you're not the only one. I mean, I just got Neo Doodles to beat it a week ago because we met
Hmm.
Patricia Somerset and we were kind of I think we were kind of inspired and I was like, okay, I feel like this is the time.
Yeah.
Because when we met her, I had, compliments to give her about her performance, which is
Hmm.
she has some really great scenes in that game.
Remind me who she plays.
Zelda.
Okay. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But her performance in Tears of the Kingdom, it's a bit different. Like her voice is lower, which I
Mm-hmm.
really like.
Mm.
And obviously no spoilers, which I
Mm.
feel like I have
Yeah.
to do every episode because there are so many people who watch who have not beaten Tears of the Kingdom, so I won't go into it too much. But just she has, there's a scene or a sequence of scenes in particular where she puts on a different performance and it's really cool.
Oh, sweet.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
recommend beating it, but like
Yeah,
I
I
know,
will. I 100% will.
I know,
It's
and
one of those things. So many games at the moment, so little
I
time. I just
know.
like, yeah. I mean, I definitely bit off more than I could chew with the whole Baldur's Gate thing. We just so basically, I bought it for my other half on. So my PlayStation is just there, and then my PC's here. I was playing something. I can't remember what I was playing, and she wanted a new game. So I was like, oh, you should play Baldur's Gate. It just won like a BAFTA, and everybody's loving it. Anyway, she started playing this game, and I was like, that looks really fun. Like I kind of want to play. So we both play at the same time next to each other. Me on the PlayStation, her on the PC, and well, like our stories have like gone completely different directions. Like we're at the same point in the story, but like it's completely different, which I think is super cool. Um, but yeah, I'm at the point now where it's like I want to finish it, and it isn't ending. There's just
How
so
can
much to
you
do in it.
finish that game?
I know
Like,
it is. I'll tell you what it is. It's like I think I'm doing the main storyline, and because the side quests are so well fleshed out and well written, yeah, like I get tricked into going down a rabbit hole of like, oh, I'm gonna do this and it's gonna progress the story, and it's nothing to do with the main story. I've
right.
just done massive side quests. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there.
I picked it up earlier this year, much
Mm,
later than when it came out. But I
mhm.
just had people who really wanted me to try it, and I played it for a few streams, and I think it's the D&D like aspect
Mm,
of it. I never played D&D before, so the like remembering how to like battle and all of that stuff, I think it was just overwhelming for me. But I
yeah.
really appreciate the world and the game so much and the character
Yeah.
customization too.
Yeah, yeah, that's that. I hadn't played D&D either,
Mm.
um, and that was my introduction to it. And I didn't. I've never really indulged in like what they called where you take turns, turn-based
Mm-hmm.
combat and stuff like that. I thought I'd get bored of it, but when I realized there's quite a lot of thought you have to put into how everything works, I was like, oh, I kind of like
Yeah.
this. There is like a good amount of skill to it, so I think that's what hooked me.
Mm-hmm.
And 70 hours later, here we are.
Yeah. Obviously, you really like it.
Mm,
I kind of want to get back into it, but like you said, there's so many games
mm.
to play. I mean, but honestly, like, do you have any games coming out that you're excited about or that you're looking forward to?
One just came out actually. I was really looking forward to Wukong Black Myth. Is that what it's
Yeah,
called, or is it?
somebody just told me about that 2 days ago.
Yeah, so I've been looking forward to that, I've been playing that for the last 2 nights,
Uh huh.
and that's a lot of fun. That's it's very it's like some occupies a space somewhere between like Elden Ring with the
Mm
kind of you have to dodge at the right time, and
hmm.
I know like maybe like Devil May Cry or God of War, something like that,
Yeah.
bit of hack and slash. So I'm quite enjoying that, especially after being very like turn-based in Baldur's Gate for such a long time.
Mm hmm.
It's nice to just like mash some buttons and do some like really fast-paced combat.
Yeah, that
Uh,
I do agree that is really fun. I enjoy
mm,
that. I think that's one of the things I enjoy about Zelda is that like when you're fighting, it's just kind of like some people it's like or some enemies it's just about slashing and mashing.
mm, mm.
Um but I am really bad at combat. Like
Oh, really?
up
Not your,
until
not your
yeah,
okay.
up until like Tears of the Kingdom, which I think is easier combat wise than Breath of the Wild. Something
Hmm.
just feels easier about it. um I avoided it at all costs. Like I
You
avoided
did?
the bosses. I thought the divine beasts were really hard for no reason. But I just think I suck. I think I just suck at combat. But after Tears of the Kingdom, I feel more confident. So I was like, let me try
Yeah,
Baldur's Gate. Let me try some, you know, I even played GTA recently.
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
that was
Yeah,
fun.
that's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't played loads of GTA myself.
Hmm.
I don't know. How are you feeling about the next one that's coming out?
I'm like, what I've heard is like, is it coming out at all
What, like
next year?
ever?
Is it?
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
yeah,
it'll probably be next year. I mean, you would hope next year, right? Especially after, releasing the trailer and then all that stuff about the leak.
yeah,
I would hope so. I just feel like it's going to be this weird, like dystopian kind of like
yeah.
Ready Player One thing where like there's going to be like the whole world's going to be on the
Hmm.
new GTA, aren't they? It's going to be insane.
Yeah, I think so too. I've just heard like it's I've heard like we got such and such before we got GTA 6. Like I've been seeing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
every
That's a comment. That's a comment on pretty much every video on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah, but I think I can only imagine like how like futuristic it's going to be. So,
Mm,
I'll play it whenever it comes out.
100%. Yeah, I'll play it. I'll play it because, I just got to see what all the fuss is about after such a long time,
I
It's
know.
super curious.
I hope that the hype, I hope it lives up to the hype. But
But at this point, like,
I don't know. I get worried when like things get hyped up for so long and
mm,
then I don't know.
yeah.
But Neo asked, would you ever do a Baldur's Gate cover album or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
I mean, the music in Baldur's Gate
Mm.
is insane, and it's like it's there's some really nice just songs in there as well,
Yeah.
like with a vocalist, and yeah, I'd be lying if I wasn't if I said that I wasn't playing the game, being like that would be a good cover, like
Mm-hmm.
that would be a cover.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely want to tackle at least a few of those at some point. When I do that is another thing, and like Breath of the Wild is a really good example of me leaving as much time as I can between playing the game and then doing the arrangements
Mm.
so that it feels nostalgic. So when I did all those Breath of the Wild covers, it felt like, oh, I remember doing this bit in the game, and it was all really nostalgic and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of want to leave a little bit of space between the game and doing that.
Yeah.
Not 7 years, but you know what I mean? Just like a little bit of breathing space to be like, when I listen to them again, I'm like, oh, this is I remember that. I remember this part of the story, and then I sort of do the thing with the orchestration. It's I don't know. It's like it's quite a important part of the process, like for me to stay super interested when I'm
Mhm.
doing it as well. And like I get a kick out of the nostalgia, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And would you say that you maybe wait until the inspiration hits to make those albums? Like maybe you're inspired by something that's maybe not
Mm.
even related to the game itself, but like, for example, your Hyrule and Half-Light album. I noticed a lot of like inspirations in that album that sounded like maybe they were from other things like Disney, or like
Mm.
I felt a little bit of Avatar influence in some of that. And so I was wondering if you like typically kind of wait for something to kickstart that like inspiration to make those albums.
Um, yeah, I think so. For one, I listen to a lot of film scores
Mm.
anyway, so probably what you're hearing is me just trying to like up my game
Mm-hmm.
every time. I'm like, if if I've listened to a soundtrack and I listen to John Williams or I'm listening to John Powell or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like I'm forever like taking note of like, oh, they've done this, maybe I could try that. And
Yeah.
I am forever striving to sound like Disney, a lot of the
Right.
time anyway. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's that, and then I don't know, like inspiration wise, with the Breath of the Wild album, I've been asked to do that like a bunch of times
Mm-hmm.
over the years, and I never, I just never really was like, I don't really feel like doing it. And then when I did I think when I finished the Hyrule and Half-Light one, and then it was you that said, oh, it would be really cool to hear some Breath of the Wild stuff,
Mm.
and it got me thinking. I was like, yeah, it would be cool. Like, let me
Yeah, actually,
let me
she's
have a
right.
look. Yeah, she's not wrong there. Um, so I sort of, I sat on that for a little bit, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, no, it's quite an intimidating soundtrack, especially because it's when I approach the older ones, they're often like a little more sparse. They
Mm-hmm.
had like technical limitations with what the composers could do, like
Right.
with writing music for the sound set that was in the Nintendo 64 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the newer the games get, and they're actually using real musicians now, and
Yeah.
they've got an orchestration team, and um, so I think I shied away from it a bit, but I think I was just like, hey, like why don't I just do one? And then I did one. I was like, maybe a little lazy with me, but I was like, oh, I can't think what to do next. I'll do another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just kept doing that, and then an album materialized, and I had a great time doing it in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It just, I don't know. It just felt like the right time to do it, I think.
Mm-hmm. What was the first track that you did for that album?
Or I think it was the Stables.
Which is my
The
favorite, by the way.
Yeah, you like that
Oh,
one?
it makes me cry. It's so beautiful. That and
Oh.
I think it's like it's honestly, which by the way, Marcus just put out a Breath of the Wild orchestrated album recently. Sorry, I'm a horrible podcast host.
No, it's fine. It's
um,
fine.
but literally, it's a no skip album. Like
Yeah.
honestly, it's just like you sit down and from start to finish, you just listen to the whole thing, and none of the tracks miss. But like, I think my favorite is the Stables, also Rivali's theme. Like the last
Mm.
like 30 seconds of that song is is
Mm.
incredible. Like the way it
That's
opens
one of
up.
my favorites from the soundtrack in general.
Oh,
I nearly forgot to do it, and I was like, wait a second, I haven't done any of the champion
mm-hmm.
themes, and then I was like, oh damn, I nearly missed Revivali's theme. It's like top two on the album
Yeah,
for me in terms of like how much I enjoyed arranging it. It's just so nicely written. When something's so nicely written like that,
yeah.
it makes my life a lot easier, you know.
Exactly. Totally. I
uh,
mean, it's just like it's yeah, I think it's one of the more like emotional isn't the right word, I don't think, but it makes me emotional because of how like epic it is, how powerful it
yeah,
is. I don't
yeah,
know.
it's quite powerful, isn't it? No,
Mhm.
I agree. It's yeah, it was really nice. We got some nice violin on that one,
Mhm.
because it's quite like it moves around quite a lot. It's, I think that's the whole point because he's
Yeah.
a bird and it's all floaty and nice.
Mhm.
Had some violin and some flute
Mhm.
on that live flute. But yeah, it was really nice to do that one. And then the stables theme, it's the most memorable, isn't it? From
Yeah.
I think from the game, it's like the cozy, warm kind of like stable theme.
Mhm.
You kind of, I don't know, you can sort of hum it without even needing to listen to it. Yeah, and originally that is, I think it's played on a recorder,
Mhm.
but I just had Kieran Cosway perform some shakuhachi, the Japanese flute,
Mhm.
on the Kakariko village theme.
Yeah.
And it was him that it was like, oh, you know what? It would sound good if we did some Japanese flutes on the stables theme. And I was like, okay, like
Sure.
let's do it, let's do it. And it ended up sounding really cool. So that was a nice little happy accident there.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you which I feel like composers these days like you'll pull from different musicians like all over the world. They'll send you their parts, and then you put everything together. Um,
Mm.
and one of the people that I feel like you've had quite frequently is Emma, who plays the flute, right?
Flute. She plays a bunch of different
Mm-hmm.
flutes.
She's amazing.
Yeah. She's super talented. And the reason I work with her so often is because, well, there's a few reasons. She's like, I know I can send her something and it's gonna come back like absolutely pristine.
Mm-hmm.
She interprets things so well. And like over the time that we've worked together, now like she totally understands like what I'm after in terms of, I'm like, take a bit of free reign within these few bars,
Mm-hmm.
do what feels right. And because I'll never be as good a flute player as you,
Mm-hmm.
like you interpret these flute lines I've written however feels right to you. So it's always, she's like, super reliable. She's unbelievably talented,
Mm-hmm.
and that just, it has me like, because I know those two things when I'm writing now. I'm like, well, I know Emma's going to play this bit. So
Yeah.
it kind of nice to be able to think of that from the offset. um so yeah, she's great. She's great, man.
It's so nice that you have people like that where when you're writing something you already know like this part's covered. I know
Mm,
that this person is going to like translate this the way that I've envisioned it.
for sure.
And I saw kind of a funny interaction between you guys on Twitter when you first released the album. You were talking about a flute nod in what was it, Korok Forest,
Yeah.
and it was Lost Woods, but even
Mm,
Emma was like, maybe I miss
yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit of a reach, I think, that
No,
one.
but like when I listened to it, like I
Did you
heard
get
it.
it?
I did. I heard it and I
Mm,
was like, I think I was about to, because I saw the tweet and I went and listened to it and I was like, oh, okay, this is Lost Woods, and I was gonna go
okay.
reply, and you had already you had already said, okay, guys, it's Lost Woods. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
No,
okay,
yeah,
darn.
I don't know. I really love the idea of like hiding little Easter eggs. I like it when music does that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is a little nod to another theme that everybody knows really well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like with the game and stuff, it kind of, with the Deku Tree and all that kind of stuff, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, kind of need to like maybe sneak some Lost with, even
Yeah.
if it's just rhythmically. I was like, we'll try.
Yeah.
But yeah, not many people got that one.
Yeah. No, I definitely
But
like
when
I
you
was like, oh, what is that? And then I figured it out. But like I've noticed that in your arrangements, like you do add those nods. And One thing that I don't know if it's a nod, but in Hyrule and Half-Light, the Zelda's Lullaby track is insane because such a it's such a trick because
Mm.
it starts out like any other Zelda's Lullaby where it's like light and airy, and then it turns sinister, like
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about this.
it
I
turns
yeah,
really dark.
yeah, because I think the whole plan was like, oh, because I've arranged Zelda's Lullaby a few times, like
Mm-hmm.
over the years. You know, it was one of the first things I ever did,
Mm-hmm.
in like 2015 or 16,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I've done it a few times, and then when it came to doing this, I was like, oh, I need to do this in a slightly different way, and obviously with the concept of the game where, you know, he kind of, spoilers I guess, but you've had a good amount of time to be able to play Twilight Princess,
Yeah.
but he kind of possesses Zelda at the end, or at least her body, and I kind of thought, oh, we could do that with like music, so it
Mm-hmm.
starts off all lovely and stuff, and then takes a real sinister turn, and it's kind of like
Yeah.
Ganondorf is like taking over her, and it's this real dark version of Zelda's Lullaby, which it was
Mm-hmm.
super fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, the track itself is really fun to listen to because it's just like, what is happening? Like, you're like, oh, I love this song. And then it's just like, wait a minute, what's going on? But like, it was cool because that album came out, I think, like 7 months after Tears of the Kingdom, right? Which in Tears of the Kingdom, I don't want to give spoilers away, but like, there's kind of something similar in Tears of the
Okay.
Kingdom. I don't know if you've
I
gotten
have
that
my,
far.
no, but I mean, I'm kind of getting hints, like, you know, from what I've done, it
Mm-hmm.
within the game. I've got a feeling I know where it might go.
Yeah.
Um, so
Well,
yeah.
it's just like the timing of you releasing that with Tears of the Kingdom coming out. I was like,
Wow.
I was under the impression that it was in reference to Tears of the Kingdom a little bit,
Got
like
you.
also kind of nodding to that. And so I was like, oh, this is so cool. But like
So many
obviously,
levels.
oh, so many levels. But
Happy accident.
yeah, I meant to. But no, I love that track. I love like I don't know, just taking things like that have been, you know, like so many people have covered Zelda's Lullaby, right? And it's usually like the same arrangement pretty much every time, like that light airy like fairy kind of feeling. But for you to do something like that is just so unique and it's so cool. So,
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I think I said this to you before. Like when you listened through the first time, it's
mhm.
like when you kind of when I, as the arranger, like kind of hide those little bits and bobs in, or like have this kind of like narrative approach, and somebody like yourself picks up on it, that's
Mhm.
like, ah, that feels good. You
Oh
know, that
yeah.
it worked. You know, so.
I can imagine. I can imagine. I don't know. It's just you like I don't know how to say this, but like all the creative choices that you make, like I feel like usually they hit and
Mm.
I can tell that you have such a vision for Zelda and you just understand like the atmosphere and the world and the characters and with the live action movie that is supposedly coming out.
Yeah,
I
right.
like genuinely believe that they should hire you to compose. Like, I'm not even kidding. I've told people this whenever I've talked about you on
Wow.
stream. Like, you compose such cinematic work that, like, for even just like the covers, in a
Mm.
way that like I haven't heard Nintendo do ever
Oh,
before.
that's
So,
very kind of you to say. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's like
mhm.
dream level stuff. I I kind of think what, like when I'm doing all of these arrangements anyway, I'm kind of thinking like, what would this
Of
be like if it
course.
was a film? You know, so it's all very filmy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, you know, like it would be sick. It would be so good to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so intrigued to see the way in which they're going to go, that I'm surprised they went live action, you know?
Yeah, I am too. I think that like live action could be really really cool. Um,
Mm,
I think it depends on the tone that they're going with. If they're
hmm
going for more of like the, like goofier Zelda, then I think that animated would be better, or like people were saying like, oh, Studio Ghibli should do it.
Yeah.
That I think they should do it anyways, like some kind of Zelda project. I think that would be great. But
Mm.
live action, if they're going like the more dark
I
version,
think they should. Yeah.
I think they should. I've always wanted them to do a live action. So,
Okay. It just yeah, it'd be interesting. Like the casting will be
mm-hmm.
super important, I think. Um, yeah, I guess I was surprised they went live action just because they did so well with the Super Mario movie,
Yeah.
and like I haven't watched it a ton, but remember being quite impressed with the music, especially,
Oh
like
yeah.
is it Brian Tyler, I think, who did the score for
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
I think that was really well done, and the animation was great, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the humor in it was good. So yeah, it will be interesting to see. It would be It would be quite cool, wouldn't it, if it
Yeah.
was slightly more grown up, like version of Zelda. I hadn't really thought about it like that. I hope it's not too cheesy,
I hope
you
not
know?
either. Like, I think, well, I mean, with the third Sonic movie coming out, which is a little bit edgier than it has been, of course, Shadow the
It's
Hedgehog.
Shadow, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
You're quite
which,
a big Sonic fan, right?
yes, I'm a very big Sonic fan, and Sonic Adventure 2 is my favorite Sonic game. So this, I'm very hyped for this. The
Okay.
marketing has been a little bit off for this movie. They just released the trailer, and it comes out in December.
Okay.
So that was interesting, but it looks phenomenal, and I think they are taking that darker tone with it, which is
Okay.
exciting. Um,
Yes. Jim Carrey's returning, right? As
yes, yeah,
Sonic.
and Keanu Reeves is voicing Shadow, which is so
Oh, I didn't
cool.
know that. That's
Hmm.
dope. That's very cool. I
Yeah,
haven't seen the second one. How's the second one?
the second one is better than the first one.
Okay.
The because the first one's like it's fine, but they didn't really know how to approach like a video game adaptation movie, so it's kind of it feels very corporate almost with Paramount,
Mm.
where they're
Mm.
not doing a lot of fan service. But the second one, they had time to like hear from the fans, and
Mm.
adding Knuckles in, like there's a lot more like fan service, and it was just
Yeah.
more fun like as a Sonic fan because there were little like Easter eggs here and there. And so I feel like this third one is gonna be like it's gonna be really good. So
Yeah.
um,
Cool.
Neo says I need a Trend Orchestra Sonic album real bad.
I've done a couple from there.
Yeah.
I've done a couple because it's the nostalgia. Like Sonic the Hedgehog was probably the first game I ever owned.
Mm-hmm.
It was built into my Sega.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, we had a couple of the cartridge ones, so I did a couple covers. Yeah, I think you're right. I should probably do those at some point
Well,
because
have you?
I didn't. Go on.
I was gonna say, are you familiar with like the Sonic Frontiers music?
Is this no? No, I'm not. No,
It's the
no.
one that just came out like 2 years. Oh, yeah, I think it was two
It's
years
quite. It's
ago.
quite heavy. Is it quite heavy rock stuff?
It's more like it's definitely darker and
Hmm.
just more experimental.
Okay.
But it's so good, and it would be cool to hear you mess around with that. Um, but yeah, I think like now that these video game movies are coming out, like I'm hoping that I don't know who's doing the Zelda movie. I can't remember what company is doing it. Um, I wish that HBO would just do it
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they do
They got all
so
the money.
well. They've got the money, and they also just like with The Last of Us, they
Oh
did
my God.
such a good job with that. So we'll see, but I'm hoping that like they do it justice, you know.
Yeah, they will have a lot of angry people if you know,
Oh yeah, definitely.
for
Um,
sure.
but yeah, I just think your work is like it's on that level. Um,
Oh, thanks.
but also I think it's because you are able to take like a lot of creative liberty with your arrangements, whereas Nintendo like they kind of have to stick to a strict formula,
Yeah,
you know?
I'm forever trying to like. When I first started out doing these, they were very like for like,
Mm-hmm.
and and then I realized like, oh, I can do like my own versions of these,
Mm-hmm.
and then like time's gone on, I've tried to make them as much my own as I can, without you know still staying faithful to the original.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm fully ready to do something on that level if ever it arises.
I think it
But yeah,
will.
yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers
I
crossed.
definitely think it will. I mean, like your Spotify, I checked today, and it has over 282,000 monthly listeners.
Yes, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable, but yeah, like that is crazy.
I just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It's if I think about it too much, it's like I don't really understand it. But yeah, I've been doing it a long time, I think, and
Hmm.
I got this thing. I got this. Let me two seconds. I'll show
Yeah.
you this thing my dad made me.
Oh my gosh.
2018. Look, this thing here.
Oh.
Look, it's got
Wow.
right, and it says congratulations on your first million
That
streams.
is so nice.
But it's insane because like last year I had 20 million streams in a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't understand like these. I guess like once things do the rounds and they kind of like go to the far reaches of Spotify and with just um how many people are on the platform now, I
Mm-hmm.
think that yeah, things have like the potential to really sort of snowball. So
Oh
it's really
yeah.
cool.
Do you
Don't understand it, but I'm
yeah,
happy
don't
about
understand
it.
it. Um, do you think there's a particular project that where you saw like a spike in that engagement, or do you think it's just been like gradual over time?
Yeah, I think it's been gradual over time. Obviously, the spikes happen when albums are released, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it pulls new people in. But yeah, I think it's been a over the years building up the catalog, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
then letting that catalog sort of go out into the Spotify verse, and then adding to that and just being consistent. I think, you know, it's been I've been doing this for over 10 years, so it's
Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's just mounted up.
And did you always want to do music, or was it something that kind of like sparked a little bit later in life?
No, yeah, I mean, I always played piano. I played piano since I was a kid, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. And you know, when everybody was going off to or like planning to go to university,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. I kind of just like, you know,
Yeah.
it was all, and then me and my dad like picked up this prospectus, and it was like, oh, you know, there's a course for writing music for TV and radio.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, people can do that, like, and then we looked into maybe how much money they could get paid, and I was like, I'm gonna go do that. And yeah, it just kind of went from there really, and then um the idea kind of the idea for the Trend Orchestra came from I was fresh out of university, and I could not for love nor money get a decent job in music. Like I
Mm-hmm.
thought there was going to be loads, and there just wasn't any.
Mm-hmm.
And
Tale as old as time.
yeah, it's just like, you know, you need the experience to get the job. You need the job to get the experience,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. It was really, really tough. But I ended up in like an internship in London for this company that was doing compilation albums
Mm-hmm.
for pop culture things. So like do like for like covers
Mm-hmm.
of tracks that were new out or popular, like Game of Thrones when it was first being released, and then we would transcribe them and recreate them, and they put compilation albums, and then they would
Mm-hmm.
sell them. I remember thinking to myself, like, I did that for like 3 months unpaid. It was, you know, it was like it was a long one.
Mm-hmm.
I finished that, and then I was like, but why wouldn't people just listen to the original?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what extra thing are we giving them uh, to enjoy?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I was like, huh, I wonder what Zelda would sound like if it was played by like, you know, a Hollywood orchestra. And then it
Mm-hmm.
kind of that gave me the idea, and there was no like easy. It wasn't plain sailing at the start because not no platforms existed to get stuff licensed. So I remember talking to like I did this little album of Zelda tunes, and I talked to a music lawyer, and I ended up getting pointed in the direction of this record label in California, I think. They were called Joypad Records, and they licensed it for me. And
Mm-hmm.
then they became a platform eventually, and then that platform sold, and now it's Sounddrop. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, that just yeah, it's funny how it all works out really. just little stepping stones.
Yeah, and here you are now.
We are, yeah.
Somebody earlier asked what your favorite video game soundtrack of all time is. Like, not even like Zelda games, but just in general, or movie.
Or movie. Okay, movie. How to Train Your Dragon is
Mm,
my favorite score
so
by John.
beautiful.
He's just like he's the man at the moment. In my opinion, it's between him and John Williams. You know, John Williams
Mm,
kind of scored my childhood.
yeah,
John Powell's done is just like
the
some of the stuff
Johns.
he. No, yeah, all the Johns,
You
yeah.
know the Johns.
I also worked with John as well for
Yeah,
the.
John.
I'm only friends with
Yeah,
Johns.
I only
Um,
work with Johns.
but yeah, John. Yeah, so as far as film score, yeah, How to Train Your Dragon, video game, tough. It's between two.
Hmm.
Ocarina of Time is my most nostalgic. It makes me feel like memory lane type deals, and then the God of War soundtrack by
Hmm.
Bear McCreary is
Oh, Bear McCreary is insane.
pretty phenomenal music. Yeah, I think I love the game as well. Like obviously Zelda's my favorite, most nostalgic game, but like most recent, you know, adult
Hmm.
Marcus game favorite is is God of War. God of War Ragnarok, I think.
So good.
For sure. Have you played them? You should.
I've watched friends play it. I've watched playthroughs of it. It's like it's so good.
Mm.
I think I might actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
It's I mean the storytelling in it and like the music, I don't know. I loved it.
Hmm.
It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, I think I'll have to check it out because like I love like the story of the game and the music too. Like,
Mm.
and I know it won some awards as well.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it won a ton of awards.
oh yeah.
People when I was I went to game SoundCon
Hmm.
a year or so ago and it was just winning everything. It was winning all of the audio awards and everybody was calling it God of Awards by
God of
the
Awards.
which is
That's,
accurate.
it's
They had
true.
like it was like they had kept having to go up to the podium and be like, "Hello
We're
again.
back.
Thank you."
They might as well just stay up there, honestly. I do
Mm.
remember that the game awards, like they just kept having to come back up. It's like, why don't you just let them stay on stage? Give them a little chair like to the side.
Yeah, it seems that way for sure.
But Neo and I we just finished The Walking Dead, like my
Oh,
first
what is
time.
in? Okay, so I've like I think it's a great show. Like
Mhm.
I've had periods of time where I've like absolutely smashed it and then stopped,
Mhm.
then gone back to it and smashed a load more. And I believe I watched it up until the pandemic when I could see quite clearly that they were trying to socially distance in the scenes.
Mm,
There was just
yeah.
two people in the scene, and it was like Carol and um, what's his name?
Daryl.
Daryl, yeah.
I
And
didn't
I
think about
and
that.
yeah, it's just like those two in a scene, like a good amount of distance apart. Like, and I remember thinking, okay, I'm just gonna press pause on this for now, and then I didn't go back. Have
Mhm.
you watched the whole? You've watched the whole thing?
The whole thing we just finished cuz it's 11 seasons. We just finished it um a couple weeks ago and then we finished The Ones Who Live, which is great. And then we're
The one.
on it's basically Michonne and Rick. So
Okay.
it's
Oh
like
yes.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
wrapping up of like basically it's like the after show of the
He
show.
because he just disappears, doesn't he?
He's gone for like 2 or 3 seasons.
And then you're like,
Spoiler, sorry.
yeah, yeah, spoilers. Do you know why that happened? Did he like have like some kind of
I
as an
don't know.
actor, you know?
I don't know because I'm like, what else was he in between? I
No,
don't.
I didn't see him in anything.
I don't because I know Michonne, the actress who plays Michonne, was in Black Panther.
Yeah, 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 yeah. She
I
was
was
in
like,
it a
she
lot
has
as
an
well.
excuse.
Yeah. What
But
the hell? Where's
maybe
Rick?
I think they were doing The Ones Who Live, maybe like
Maybe, yeah.
during that
Maybe.
time, and they
Is it
couldn't
good?
bring him. It was really good. Yeah, it feels way more modern than the original show, but it like ties up a lot of loose ends.
Okay.
So
And so where I stopped, which was, I mean, it's hard to know how to explain it, but it was just Daryl and Carol.
Mm-hmm.
It does it get better from there, or like,
Yeah,
is there like a good finale and all that kind of stuff, or
it's like, I think if you, it sounds like extra homework, but if you watch the adaptations, like, it does kind of like round it out. Where, as if you just watch the original show, you kind of have some unanswered questions.
yeah,
But we're watching the Daryl Dixon show right now, and I think season two is coming out at the end of the month. And
okay,
that one's interesting because he is in France.
huh,
Yeah,
interesting.
somehow he ends up in France, and the whole show is about him in France.
Imagine him with a French accent.
He's like, honestly, he's perfect in France. Like, I think he
Okay.
belongs in Europe.
Okay. Yeah, see, there's so much to watch, so little time in there.
I know.
Um, yeah, I need to get it does feel unfinished for me because they had some great villains in The Walking Dead.
Mm,
Really great villains.
yeah.
Negan,
Negan. Oh my gosh.
so good.
Oh, he's so amazing and like steals the scene every single
Yeah.
time. And there's an adaptation with him and Maggie, weirdly enough.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
okay. We
Well, they
kind of
really go into town with these adaptations.
I know they're making money. They're trying to milk it as
I
much
guess
as they can.
makes sense.
Um, but basically, to go back to the music, that theme song is like the best theme song ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. And do you know what? You just reminded me
Mm.
of. I loved the theme of the Walkers. Is that what they were called? The
Yeah.
Walkers?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they had like their own theme, and it was really creepy and
Hmm.
like disturbed. And I just thought it was really great whenever they were on screen, or whenever like their what was it? Their alpha was
Oh,
on
the alpha
screen.
stuff was so crazy.
Oh
That
man, it's so good.
when we were watching that, because we also started watching Once Upon a Time, which is such a like it's not. I'm not gonna say it's a good
Old
show,
one.
but
An
it's a
old one.
show. It's like just if you haven't seen Once Upon a Time, it's just like a bunch of Disney and fairy tale characters in a show. But the evil queen, I think it's not it's the evil queen from Snow White. I think
Okay.
is who she is. Yeah, yeah, of course. She has a theme, and it's literally exactly like the alpha theme,
Oh, it is?
say like note
Okay.
for note.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's a random thing. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
at
yeah.
all, but
No,
you just reminded
I'm
me of
gonna,
that.
yeah, I'm gonna look that up. Yeah. I remember thinking during watching Walking Dead, I was like, oh, I should do an arrangement of that one. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I did enjoy that show. I'm just trying to think of what other stuff I've watched recently that I really enjoyed. My brother
Hmm.
keeps telling me I should watch House of Dragon. Have you watched any
Oh,
of that?
yes, you should.
I haven't watched any of that.
You
So,
should. I will say season one is better.
yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know, it feels like more happens in season one. But as a whole, the show is incredible. Like,
Mm.
I would say at times it's better than Game of Thrones, which I love Game of Thrones. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the whole, I mean, the Targaryen house is like the most interesting house.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's cool to get their history and their backstory.
Mm.
But no, highly recommend House of the Dragon. It's an incredible
Okay.
series.
What is your like what's your top three series that are relatively recent?
Um, Relatively recent. I feel like I binge a lot of old shows, but House of the
Yeah.
Dragon, I guess, would be one of
Okay.
them. Um,
Hmm.
I rewatched Game of Thrones recently. I
You did.
love Game of Thrones.
It holds up?
It holds up. I mean, obviously the
Yeah.
last season is, a bit
Yeah, we don't talk
weird.
about it.
We
Yeah.
don't talk about that, but like up until that, it's so great. It's so exciting. And the
Mm,
music in that show is like I just go and listen to the soundtrack randomly. Like the Stark
agreed.
theme. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's all so good, isn't it?
I'm obsessed. But another show, I'm trying to think anything new. Nothing
Have
really
you
new.
watched? Okay, so I two of my top three are quite easy.
Mhm.
One of them is Arcane. Have you watched Arcane?
No.
Oh. So so it's Riot Games have done their own TV
Mm-hmm.
animated TV series called Arcane. The music in it is phenomenal,
Oh,
and it's just like you can pause that show at any point. It just looks like a piece of art. It's just so good. It's on Netflix.
okay.
That's your homework.
All right.
And then one I watched recently called Blue Eye Samurai, which again is like set in just say early days Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about this uh samurai that had like there was only I think there was only like four white men in Japan at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and then a child is born that has blue eyes and is kind of cast as an outsider,
Oh.
um, and they and she becomes like this samurai, and she's like super badass.
Mm-hmm.
Like I won't say anymore. I don't want to ruin any more of it, but again, it's a similar sort of vibe in that it's so well done. The story's amazing. The acting's amazing. It's animated again.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so yeah, like two like super good things that I watched in the past few years that have been like phenomenal.
Okay, so Arcane and Blue Eyed Samurai. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I'll send you I'll
Yeah.
send you the link
Send
so
it
you
to
can watch.
me. Um,
Yeah.
I am showing Neo The Last of Us because
Okay.
he hadn't seen it before. Which
Oh no
we
way.
watched like 4 episodes last night, so we're like halfway done. Um,
Damn. Yeah.
but I love that show. This is my third time rewatching it. Um,
Yeah.
I
It's very good, isn't it? It's
It's
very
so
well put
good.
together.
I'm curious to see how next season goes. Because
They got a lot to live up to, haven't they? Because
it's gonna
like
be
yeah, that game, the second game, I I finished it and I was like, I need to lie down. I just need to
yeah.
like you know, like repair
Because
from
yeah, yeah. Part two is just like, oh my gosh, it's the most intense game ever. It's just
Mm.
so traumatic.
I know exactly,
So
exactly.
dramatic. And I think people who have only seen the show, they're like, oh, cool, Pedro Pascal. Like,
Yeah.
he's got a whole nother season. And I'm like, you don't know.
You
Not
don't
to spoil me,
understand.
you don't know.
You don't
You
understand.
sweet summer
Yeah, I know.
child.
Yeah, exactly,
Oh,
exactly.
man.
Yeah, it's again like up there with like the best games I've played.
Hmm.
The two Last of Us games, just phenomenal story writing, amazing music,
Yeah.
just great characters, great act. I don't know,
Hmm.
it's the whole lot really.
Just that little
Uh,
guitar, like, can last me. Like, I could just
yeah,
listen to that and be
I
happy.
know.
Oh, it's
It's
so
so good.
good.
It's so simple, but it just works, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It really
Because what's this
does.
Gustavo Santaolalla, I think it
Mm-hmm.
composer is. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking for. It was a great show. It's one of those things where like you watch you watch this amazing show that's clearly like really high budget and stuff, and then they're like, "Yep, next season, is going to be out in however many years." You're like, "No."
No. Well, that's how people feel about House of the Dragon. Now that season two's done,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, now there's like, you have to wait like 3 years.
I'm gonna have to sip it. Am I like
Yeah,
really?
make it last.
Okay, okay, noted,
Yeah.
noted.
But no, that like just I don't know. I just love the like stripped guitar. Like it doesn't need this like orchestral like score. It just the guitar like kind of
Yeah,
portrays
yeah.
the mood of the story of the game
Uh,
and
it does. It's like used at all the right moments as well, which
mhm.
gives it that kind of like emotive power. Like, when when you hear the guitar, it really means something,
Yeah.
which is like, you know, really clever tool to use.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's just done amazingly.
Sometimes less is more and I feel like there's a lot of that in Tears of the Kingdom too,
Hmm.
where just those like really atmospheric like sort of stretched out tracks like at night, when you're just like walking around or riding around at night. It's just like a few notes here and there, but also it's like those few notes are a part of like the main score. I love
Yeah,
that
right.
about those games where it's like
Yeah.
it's the same melody, just either the harmony part in one track or like a few notes of the melody or just like I just love that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I completely agree. I'm all for what for a little musical Easter egg. I think they did that. I think that's across the whole soundtrack, like that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Like things being reversed as well is quite common.
Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily know until you look at the dots on the paper and you're like,
Mhm.
just the same thing but backwards.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love that stuff.
I
Love
I
that
heard
stuff.
somewhere or saw somewhere that the writing theme at night in Breath of the Wild is like the Guardian theme but like broken up and like slowed down or something
You
like that.
might be right. That might be what I'm remembering. And you know what? You just made me think of something. I've covered the riding theme,
Mhm.
but it's not on the album, is it? Did I put it on the album?
I know.
I d-
But you
I
have a
don't
whole
think
track.
I have a whole
You
track.
just didn't put it on the album.
I don't know where it is. I
Well,
definitely did it.
you
I'm
should
gonna have
release
to.
it as a bonus single.
Yeah, I should. I should. I can't believe I've done that. To be fair, Rivali's theme, I nearly forgot to send that to John to master as well. I was like,
Wow.
oh wait, there's another one. Yeah, because when you're doing it like over such a long period of time,
Mhm.
and then sometimes I would have to stop doing that and do like some commission stuff and some client work, and then I'd go back to the Breath of Wild. Like eventually, you just forget what
Mhm.
you've done. I've done hundreds of these things. Damn, I
That's
can't believe I forgot.
crazy. How long from conception to release does it usually take you to do these orchestrated albums?
So, I mean, conception. I mean, a few months.
Mhm.
I think if I'm lucky, like 2 months, 3 months, providing like other work doesn't get in the way, because a lot of the time, if original stuff comes in, I kind of put Trend Orchestra on pause for a little bit
Right.
and do that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, probably 2 or 3 months is what I aim to do.
Mhm.
Uh, and yeah, I'm doing a Minecraft album at the moment.
What? Seriously?
Yeah,
That's exciting.
yeah, I hadn't I haven't played the game very much, but my other half's younger brother absolutely loves it.
Mhm.
And I went and listened to the stuff, and it's really cool, atmospheric, quite experimental stuff.
Mhm.
And I was like, that gives me so much room to do orchestral stuff. Like I can
Yeah.
fill all these voids, like pick out like melodies and really expand on them and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm like 12 tracks in quite
Wow.
quickly. So
That's awesome.
yeah, yeah, we're almost there with that one. Just getting some parts recorded, send some stuff off to some soloists and Emma and stuff,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's not far off, I don't think.
Well, that's so cool. I know people in the chat are really excited to hear about that. And I'm
Supposed to be
excited
doing
to
a,
hear.
they're supposed to be doing a film, I think. They're supposed to be doing a Minecraft film, I heard,
They are
or
with
something.
Jack Black.
With Jack Black. Is that
Yeah.
actually?
He's starring in
He's
it.
like he's like top three like dinner party guests
Oh
for me,
my
Jack Black.
gosh. He really
He,
is.
he's
I
the
lived in
best.
LA for like 9 months and I saw him on the street one time.
No,
Yeah,
that's insane.
he had his little backpack. He was crossing the street and it's like when you see him in person it's like unmistakable like that's Jack Black cuz he
Yeah,
has like
yeah,
the beard and
yeah.
the glasses sometimes and I was like that's Jack Black.
No, I've seen him. I've seen Tenacious D is like one of my favorite bands.
Mhm.
Seen them live a bunch,
Oh,
and he performed. I went to see them in Brighton actually, like no, 8 months ago, 7 months ago, maybe even less. And he was spotted in Brighton, like just down the road from my house, and I
oh
was
my
like, no, I
god.
didn't get to see him. It's a bit of a shame, but yeah, like he's cool, man. That'd be really cool to see him in a Minecraft film.
Yeah.
I uh, I wouldn't have watched it otherwise, I don't think. So be
I yeah.
definitely got a reason.
I don't think I would have either. But that's
No,
cool
I'm
that
not the target market.
he's like doing now multiple like game adaptation movies, which is
Hmm.
interesting. I didn't think that they would be like allowed to do that in such a like in the same timeline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I get you. Yeah, for sure. Because he's Bowser as well, right? Like
Yeah.
It's a
But I
big
guess they're not
deal.
competitors, right? It's like Minecraft and Mario. It'd be one thing if he was in the Sonic movie, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course.
uh,
No,
but
that'd be cool. My eyes peeled for that.
yeah, well, I'm excited to hear the Minecraft album. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you some stuff.
yeah,
See what
for
you think.
sure. Which, by the way, thank you for sending the Rito Village track.
Oh no. You're good. Well, I kind of you popped into my mind because I was like, because you were saying when you did the listen through of the Twilight Princess stuff, and you were the one that said, oh, it would be cool to hear Twilight, some Breath of the Wild arrangements. And I
Hmm.
was like, well, she's clearly a
Here you go.
fan of yeah, here you go, have a listen to this.
Yeah.
And it was really helpful because I was a bit stuck with the ending for that one, and I showed somebody else, and they were a bit unsure about one of the endings. I was like, I need another opinion.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's helpful. Thank you.
Well, I felt honored to receive that, so thank you.
Pleasure.
But we are just about out of time, but also I want you to go enjoy your night. I know it's a bit later for you over there in the UK, so
Not so bad. It's not
um
so bad.
but I really appreciate you doing this. I know everyone's really enjoyed hearing you talk about video game music.
My
um
pleasure. No, it's yeah, it's nice just to have a chat about common interests anyway. I mean,
yeah,
it's no uh it's no burden for me to talk about video games and TV series because that's what I'm doing anyway.
same.
You know?
Yeah, I that's why I wanted to start the podcast because it's like I just want to talk about things that I like,
Yeah.
even if it's,
Yeah.
you know, just talking about Zelda for an hour. Like
Uh-huh.
I could do that easily. So I'm glad that you also
100%.
feel that way. But do you have anything other than the Minecraft album? Do you have anything coming up in the near future that you want to plug or promote?
Um, do I have anything? Well, no, I mean, not really. I'm doing a little passion project at the
Mm-hmm.
moment.
Okay.
I haven't said anything uh really like online about it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I'll just like leave it as like kind of watch this space. But
Yeah.
I've been collaborating with a bunch of like really interesting vocalists
Mm-hmm.
to write songs. So um, I've had this like idea that I've wanted to do for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. This year I've kind of been like, do you know what? I'm just gonna do it and see
Yeah.
what happens. Um, and yeah, it's kind of almost at the point where I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna start sharing bits and bobs of it with people. So that's something I've been working hard on in between uh, my other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really proud of it. So yeah, I don't know. It'd be cool to like just say like watch this space for now, and then
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to if we ever speak again, that like be like, okay, this is what I was
If we
talking
ever
about last
speak again.
on stream. Okay.
If you ever see my face again, maybe we'll talk
That's it. I'm
about it.
logging off.
I'm logging up. I'm blocking
I'm
you.
logging off. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's all I'm doing really at the moment. That's kind of on the near horizon. So
That's really cool because that's something new for you, right? With the
yeah.
vocalists. But yeah, just follow Marcus, everybody, on all the social media platforms. You've got the Marcus Hedges Composer account on Instagram, as well as the
hmm
Trend Orchestra account on Instagram,
hmm
and then
Yeah.
Twitter as well, Trend Orchestra.
Yes. Well
And
remembered.
yes, I'm trying. I don't
It's
remember a
all
lot,
good.
but I do. I try to keep it up here. And of course on Spotify, you've also got a Marcus Hedges account and a Trend
Yeah,
Orchestra account. So
I do. Yeah, that was a tough decision to try and decide. Like when I started releasing original stuff, I was like, oh man, I've
mhm.
got all these listeners as on the Trend Orchestra, but to differentiate between covers and original, I think is quite important. So
Right.
yeah, there's Marcus Hedges, and then there's the Marcus Hedges Trend Orchestra,
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. That makes a lot of
right?
sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like they both pop up even if you type in Trend
Oh yeah,
Orchestra
yeah,
and Marcus Hedges. So, um,
yeah.
and thank you for the links, Neo. He's been linking all the stuff we've been talking about. So
Oh,
that's
thanks.
very nice. Um,
Much appreciated.
yeah, but thank you again, Marcus. We're gonna say goodbye on Discord after this, but just for the
Okay,
people,
okay,
we'll say goodbye. Um,
okay.
but we'll see you guys later. See you in the next episode.
Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.